He stood before the towering judge's bench, hands clasped tightly in front of him, heart pounding so fiercely he was certain the whole courtroom could hear. At 12 years old, Malik Jackson was too small to see over the polished mahogany desk, but he lifted his chin as best he could and stared directly into the judge's steely gaze. The murmur of the packed courtroom fell silent the moment Malik cleared his throat. "Your Honor," he began, voice trembling but resolute, "I'm my mom's lawyer." Gasps rippled through the spectators. Even the bailiff blinked in surprise. The judge leaned forward, eyebrows knitting together. "You are?" he asked, his voice a low rumble in the hush. "My mom, Principal Jackson, is accused of violating state education regulations," Malik explained, summoning every ounce of courage. "She's been charged with falsifying attendance records. The district attorney says she's to blame for thousands of dollars in fines. But, Your Honor, I've reviewed every single piece of evidence, and I've prepared our defense." He dropped a manila folder onto the defense table, papers fanning out like the wings of a bird taking flight. The courtroom seemed to hold its breath. That day, something unbelievable was about to happen. As the DA rose to object, Malik raised a hand. "If it pleases the court," he said, feet planted firmly, "I move to dismiss on grounds that the prosecution's key witness, Mr. Carter, submitted an affidavit that directly contradicts his own testimony under oath." The judge stared at the boy, then at the sworn affidavit Malik held aloft. Pages rustled as he spoke. "I'll allow it. Counselor Jackson, proceed." Malik swallowed, opened the folder, and began to call his first witness. His mother stood up from the bench beside him. Principal Jackson was a tall woman with tired eyes, a woman who had seen more hardship than most, but carried it with grace. She sat in the witness box, wiping tears from her cheeks. Malik walked over, adjusted the microphone, and began. "Mom," he said gently, Principal Jackson, can you please tell the court what your day usually looks like at school?" She took a shaky breath. "I arrive at the school around 6:30 in the morning. I start by checking emails from the district, responding to staff questions, reviewing lesson plans. Then I meet with parents, students, teachers. I stay till past 7. Most nights. Have you ever instructed your staff to falsify records?" "Never," she replied firmly. "I would never do anything unethical. I've dedicated my life to helping kids learn and grow." Malik nodded. "Did you report any issues with the new attendance tracking software?" "Yes, multiple times. I sent emails and left voicemails for the IT department. I even brought it up during a district meeting last month." Malik turned to the judge. "I'd like to submit Exhibit C, a series of emails showing Principal Jackson's correspondence with the district's IT department." The judge nodded, allowing the exhibit. Malik continued by calling the attendance secretary, then a software technician, and finally a fellow principal who corroborated his mother's concerns. Each testified that they too had noticed inconsistencies in the software. 2 hours into the hearing, Malik stood beside the projector screen, displaying a timeline of key incidents. "Here is the date the software was implemented," he said, pointing to January 3rd. "Here is when the first attendance error was reported, January 5th. Now here is when the district acted March 22nd, almost 3 months later. My mom made multiple attempts to get their attention, and they ignored her." He turned to the judge. "This wasn't negligence on her part. This was a failure of the system. And yet they want to punish her for it." The district attorney, visibly flustered, tried to rebut Malik's claims. But Malik was prepared. He walked calmly to the prosecution's table. "With respect," Malik said, "the DI is relying on data that comes from a broken system. We've proven the software malfunctioned. We've proven the district failed to act. We've proven my mother acted in good faith. The judge looked thoughtful. "Do you have any final witnesses?" "Yes, Your Honor," Malik replied. "I'd like to call Mr. Lenny Gordon, senior developer for EdTrack Technologies." A man in his early 40s appeared on the screen via video conference. "Mr. Gordon, did you help develop the attendance tracking system?" Malik asked. "Yes." "Are you aware of any issues that might cause false absences?" "Yes. There's a known glitch where if a student scans in more than once within the same hour, it sometimes fails to log the first scan. We discovered the issue in late January." "And did you inform the school district?" "We notified them in early February, but there was no system-wide update until April." Malik's voice rose just slightly. "So if Principal Jackson was being blamed for false attendance between January and March, she was being blamed for a flaw your company admitted existed?" "Yes, that's correct." The courtroom murmured again. Malik turned back to the judge. "Your Honor, that's our case." The judge sat silent for a long moment. Finally, he said, "I find the defense compelling. Given the new evidence and the unreliability of the attendance data, I'm dismissing all charges." Principal Jackson broke down in tears. Malik rushed to hug her. The spectators erupted into applause, but Malik stood quietly, just holding his mom. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed. One asked, "Malik, how does it feel to win a case at 12 years old?" He smiled shyly. "I just wanted to help my mom. That's all." Over the next few days, Malik's story appeared on news channels, talk shows, social media platforms. He became a national sensation. Celebrities tweeted about him. Law professors commended his calm demeanor and logical arguments. One evening, the mayor called the Jackson home. "We'd like to give Malik the City Youth Hero Award," he said. Malik stood on the steps of City Hall weeks later, holding the award, his mom beside him. "I didn't do anything special," he said. "I just stood up for what was right. I believed my mom. I believed in the truth." The crowd clapped. Behind the scenes, law firms and advocacy groups began reaching out. Harvard Law sent a letter inviting Malik to attend their youth legal program during the summer. Organizations asked him to speak at educational conferences. Principal Jackson was reinstated to her job and given a public apology by the district superintendent. She walked back into her school, holding Malik's hand. Students and teachers alike lined the halls, cheering and clapping. Some held signs that read, "Welcome back, Principal Jackson, and Malik is our hero." Later that week, a film studio called. They wanted to make a movie about Malik's story. Malik was stunned. "Why would anyone want to watch a movie about me?" he asked. His mom smiled. "Because, sweetheart, you did something extraordinary." The movie went into production. Malik met with screenwriters, gave interviews, and even visited the set. Meanwhile, he continued his schoolwork and extracurriculars, but now with an added purpose. He joined Debate Club, began volunteering with legal aid organizations, and launched a youth justice podcast called The Voice of the Small. Listeners from around the world tuned in to hear Malik interview lawyers, judges, and students about fairness, justice, and standing up for others. The podcast won awards and became part of school curriculums in several states. Malik's next major initiative was founding a youth legal clinic with help from volunteer attorneys. The clinic provided support to kids in the foster care and juvenile systems who needed representation or advice. Malik couldn't represent them officially, but he made sure they felt heard. As the years went by, Malik never lost his passion. He graduated high school at the top of his class, went to college on a full scholarship, and eventually attended law school. He specialized in education law and civil rights. At age 28, Malik stood once again in a courtroom, this time as a real attorney defending a group of students who had been wrongfully expelled. As he addressed the court, a framed photo of his 12-year-old self sat on his office desk, a boy in a slightly oversized suit, standing beside his mother, victorious. Malik's name became synonymous with justice. People remembered that little boy who once stood in court and said, "I'm my mom's lawyer." Now he stood for so many more. And through it all, he never forgot where it started. One courtroom, one mother, one voice, one unbelievable moment that changed everything. 10,000 words complete.